Good morning and welcome to another day of healthy eating with Shez. Today what we're going to cook is some basmati rice infused with lemongrass and some sea bream cooked on apple. So the first thing you want to do, I'll do the rice first, is I'm measuring 1 cup of rice. Pour that into your pot and don't forget to rinse it. A good rinse. So give it a good rinse to get out all of the debris. Stir it up with your hands. Give it in a good wash. Washing out some of that starch, because too much starch is not good for the body. And you can tell the starch by looking at the colour of the water. So if you look at the colour of the water, it's all white. So you rinse that off a good few times. And keep freshening the water as you rinse. Keep rinsing it off. You want to make sure that there's nothing floating in there that could do you some harm or cause you to have some vitamins that you didn't actually want. You don't want anything lurking in the background. So keep rinsing it off until your water runs clear. By the time you finish rinsing it off a few times, the water should actually run quite clear. Now this is the third rinse, and as you'll see, the water is still a bit murky. So I'm going to rinse that up again a few more times. Okay, so now that's running clear, I'm going to put, because it was 1 cup of rice, I'm going to put 1 equal cup of water. Basmati rice doesn't take that long, and I'm just going to put a little bit more, so 1 1/4, and that will be more than enough for this 1 cup of rice. And I'm going to season it with lemongrass, picked straight from the garden, washed and dried. So there it is, washed and dried, your lemongrass. And you put that on to infuse it, just rest that on the pot. Not many people like to use salt, but according to who you're cooking for, just a little bit of pink salt. This is, the salt that I'm using is this type of pink salt. If I was cooking for myself, I wouldn't put any salt, but this is not for me to eat necessarily. So 1 teaspoonful of pink salt. And not forgetting some turmeric, and that's all we're going to use to season the rice. 1 small spoonful of turmeric powder, and that goes in the water as well, in the pot. Stir that up so you have the colouring of the rice will turn to yellow, but that's not all. In addition to the aroma of the lemongrass, we've got some freshly picked, washed and dried thyme. So you get your little handful of thyme, about that much, or a bit more actually. About that much thyme. You take your own hand and you squeeze it up to make it into a fine powder. So it's in a fine powder like that. And you simply add that. Stir it all up. So what it will look like, it should look like that, as you can see. Now you're just going to bring this to the boil for a short period of time, i.e. 12 to 15 minutes, and then it's going to be ready. Whilst that is boiling, set your alarm, don't forget, get your fish. This is what we call a fish scraper made by my father, and you're going to begin to scrape, descale the fish by moving the scale in an upward direction. Expect some splashes, but descale it. You'll hear that noise. So give it a good descale. Run it under the tap to get rid of all of the scales. You don't want any scales left in your teeth when you're eating. Neither do you want your guests to say, ugh, this fish has scales on. So give it a good scale. As you can see, I'm taking off all the scales. And then we're going to rinse it off. Give it a good rinse with lemon, water. If you prefer white vinegar, you can do that. So get that a good scale. Once it's fully scaled and washed and cleaned, get your scissors and you're now going to cut off all of the fins. You don't want any extra bones, so it's a kitchen scissors underneath the fin like that, and simply clip it to the side. Get rid of all of the spiny bones. So you've got rid of most of those. I've already cut off the tail. Okay, so that's the second part. Make sure you've gone inside, cut down the middle, and washed out all of the insides as well. You don't want any extra gump hanging on in the fish. So inside is pretty clean. You can still, if you want, peel off some of this black stuff. Peel it all off. That's your cleaned fish. Your vinegar, white vinegar. Give it a good extra clean. Pour the white vinegar on. Give it a good rub-a-dub. Just making sure you've given it a good soak on the inside as well with the vinegar. And then you can rinse that off. Then you can begin your seasoning process. Now we're going to bake this on apple as opposed to using any kind of oil. Okay, so you're ready to season this fish now. According to your taste, I'm going to use what I call a caution extra spicy seasoning. And that's as opposed to a fish seasoning. I'll sprinkle that on like that and bring it to the camera. And I'm going to give it a good rub in on both sides and on the inside. Give it a good rub. Get a sharp knife and give it a couple of slices to make sure that the seasoning goes all the way through. So I'm slicing it, one slice there, one slice there. Go pretty deep, and also on the other side. Some more seasoning. And also thyme. Remember I told you before about thyme from the garden? So break up your thyme like this. And again, you're going to rub that into the fish. I almost said chicken. Give it a good rub in on the inside and on both sides. You're breaking up the thyme, so it's making it quite fine. Rubbing that in on the inside as well. And also, in addition to that, what I do when I get my onions and my peppers, I cut them all up in advance and put them to freeze. That way they preserve longer. So you're going to get a handful of your red onions I have here. So in here I have red onions, scallion, spring onions, red peppers, sweet peppers, and they're all chopped up already. So you're going to get some and rub that into the fish. Rub it in so, number one, it's going to melt. And number two, it's going to be soaking in the fish, absorbing all of the beautiful essences of the onions. Okay, so rub that in both sides, all around. You'll have plenty of excess left. Okay. I'm putting a little bit of salt because whilst the whilst the Cajun seasoning, it's spicy, it doesn't actually have any salt on it, so it could taste a bit fresh. Keep your eye on the lemon rice. It should be working with your timer. And that's going to marinate in that for a couple of hours. To make it go through, take a very sharp knife. If your knife isn't sharp, get two knives. Simply go through the process like this on both sides. Sharpen your knife. Rinse them off so you don't have any metal bits. Give it a good rinse. And I'm going to actually slice the fish in bits and leave that to marinate for a while. So while that's marinating, we're going to get the apple ready. because we're going to bake it in apple. We're not using any oil, tiny bit of water, and that's it. So you simply have one apple. You can choose an apple of your choice. You're going to peel it and then cut it up and prepare it to go on a tray at the bottom of your baking dish. So just peel your apple. It's going to be quite simple. Apple has a lot of natural taste. It oozes out its juices, so that will replace the need for oil. So as opposed to cooking with oil, if you want to bake some potatoes, bake some vegetables, you can put apple at the bottom of whatever it is you're going to put in the oven. You can stop the frying. So you're slicing up the apple into thin slices just to coat the base of your baking tray. I'll show you what that looks like as I'm slicing up the apple. And then you're going to rest your fish on top of that as you commence baking. Make sure you keep the apples washed. So again, you're slicing up the apple just to go at the base, form a layer between the fish and the base of the dish. So there's your apple, and you can use more apple. Okay, spread it out evenly. You'll take your seasoned fish, lay it on top of the apple. The rest of the seasoning that you had on the tray, don't let it go to waste. Scrape that all onto the top of the fish. Take a small amount of water. I'm going to show you, I'm going to put about 3 spoonsful of water in here. 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's be generous. Put 4.5. I'm also going to put some of this. It's a sauce. It's like a gourmet sauce, and it's very nice. It's not too spicy. And I'll pour 2 spoons of this over the fish. Actually, be generous, make it 3. And to mix it in with the 1 more spoon of water, and that's actually going to be it. I'll take that same spoon just to rub that sauce in the fish a bit more. And that's not going to go in the oven yet. I'm actually going to cover that up, sprinkle some lemon on top, and let that marinate for a good couple of hours. I want the seasoning to soak all the way through. So cover it up with foil and leave that in the fridge for a good couple of hours and let it marinate in. Okay, so while that's marinated, I've actually done one in preparation for you already, and the rice, I've also done one in preparation for you while that one is cooking. So this is the outcome of your lemon infused rice with seasoning. So as you can see, the turmeric has given it the color as well as the health benefits. I know you can't, but if you could smell it, wow, that lemongrass aroma has gone all the way through the rice. You're not going to serve it with the lemongrass, you're going to take the grass off. But just having a closer look, you can see where some of the spices are. You'll stir that up. Okay, and that's your lemongrass rice with turmeric and natural thyme, all from your garden. And the fish that was baked, I covered it with cooking paper as opposed to aluminium foil. We all know that aluminium foil is not good for you. It's a bit hot, so... And I'm showing you what that looks like. Remember, we didn't put in any oil, but it's got its own natural water source in there. Oops. And that comes from the juice of the apple. It's not too dry. And it still has a good amount. It's not sticky, hasn't stuck to the bottom. It tastes scrumptious. And you can use the sauce that is in there as your base for gravy. You can thicken it up with tomato base, or some people prefer their fish dry. It's a bit hot. So I'm trying to show you the sauce which exists all from the apple. And a few spoonfuls of water, no oil, no grease. And there you have it, lemon infused rice with fish baked on apple. And what I wanted to show you, but time won't allow, is how to cook gizzards. Gizzards, but I'll show you that another time. That's already been cooked from scratch, but I'll show you that another time. So I bid you a good day. Remember healthy eating, tune into this channel, hit the subscribe button below, and remember this, never accept or wear the views and opinions of others. I'm not saying you shouldn't hear it, but never accept it as your own. Always remember that there is power, life and death in people's tongues, including your own. So speak positive words over your own life. It doesn't matter if someone thinks you're negative or argumentative. Maybe they're making that comment based on their own inadequacies and looking for company. As my grandmother used to say, she would say to her children, I sent you to school for yourself, not for you and somebody else. So it's not for somebody else to speak over you and for you to digest that and become something negative. Speak positive words over your life, speak positive words over the lives of others, and reject anything negative that others are saying. As they would say in Nigeria, back to sender. Have a wonderful day.